agroecology conferences I've been to. So towards the end, I'll make you sing a little bit or move around. But the next person I'm going to call upon is Mr. McPherson. I'm going to call upon Mr. McPherson Ntara. He is the Deputy Director for Land Resource in the Ministry of Agriculture. Please, sir. The next person I'm going to call upon is Mr. Kumbukani Muntali. He is from the African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership. And then we call upon Associate Professor Diamond Kambewa. He's from Luwana, Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Thank you, sir. Lastly, I will call upon Ms. Wilima Nozenji. She is from Participatory Ecological Land Use Management, PELAM, which is a coordinating body for agroecology for CSOs in Malawi. Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone to the panel. Takulandra Nonse. As I mentioned before, we will be talking tikatukambiran nkania magaps omwe alipo pa nkania to agroecology. Magaps are researching, ma challenges omwe tukumana nao, magaps are policy, zima nzoti takambira kuyambira lachiwiri pompana yamba conference koma panopo tufuna tizimva kwa imeyo poti muli field imeyo so tizingo cheza pang'ono ndini right. Okay, we're having technical difficulties, just hold on. Yes, yes, yeah. There's what we want. Yeah. Okay, I think we're set. Okay. Okay, now we are set. So kuyamba kucheza ndi Dorothy Tambula. Ndi mafuna ndi afuseko atambula. Kuyambira siku loyambirira liji anthu amakambirana nkhani ya ulimi wa agroecology ogwiritsa ntchito chilengedwe. Koma lachiwiri kuna za khala nkhani ya manyowa kwambiri. Iniyo ngati mulimbi mukuiona bwanji nkhani mumatani inuyo munda mwanu?
Zina anga ndine Dorofirambula ndachokera Mangochi. Zina anga ndine Dorofirambula ndachokera ku Mangochi tiye Nankumba. Ineyo kumbali imene Agroecology imene tainvestera kuno imene ndinamva imene zinakhalira siku lachiwiri lija imene mukuneneramo ineyo kumbali ngati mulimi ndinaona kuti ineyo kumva kwanga ndinaona kuti ndibwino kuthandizikira kapena kugwiritsa ntchito manyowa chifukwa ineyo kwathu Mangochi timagwiritsa ntchito ulimi umenewu wa kugwira ntchito ya manyowa munda pa ulimi wathu ndipo timathandiziranso kubwezeretsa chilengedwe m'minda mwathu kuzera pothandizidwa bungwe mophunzitsidwa bungwe la kusamala limene linatiunikira za kubwezeretsa chilengedwe mu nthaka chonde komanso monga ndimanena kuti kupanga nthaka kukhala ya moyo ndiye ifeyo kwathu tikugwiritsa ntchito kwakukulu kuyipanga nthaka kukhala ya moyo kuti zomera zathu kapena mbewu zathu zikhale zabwino komanso zizikula mwathanzi tizikolola zinthu zochuluka.
Zikomo. Ndeno ticheze kwenda mboma. Mama wakunadi presentation ya policy. Right? So we wanted to get the government voice on policy. How does government view agroecology as part of the broader agricultural policy, especially in terms of improving soil health?
Thank you very much, the moderator. My name is Macpherson Solintara. I'm Deputy Director from Department of Land Resource Conservation. From a government point of view, but also coming from the Minister of Agriculture, we view agroecology in a very high regard, and we consider it as key to increasing agriculture productivity and production. There are several policies which have mentioned as in the previous presentation. He had indicated a number of policies which are mentioning agroecology, but coming from Minister of Agriculture, I will focus on as a ministry, what we are doing and how we regard agroecology. So I remember there were people who were asking, where is government in all this discussion? So we are here. I hope now I'm visible. Because people were asking, there is no government here, but I was sitting there and I was trying to raise my hands that we are here. So I wanted to assure you that agroecology is very important, and the government considered it as such, critically important. It's an emerging issue, and as a Minister of Agriculture, we have incorporated it in our policies. I'll talk about the National Agriculture Policy, whose aim is to promote agriculture production and productivity based on sustainable use of the country's natural resources. So even the Minister of Agriculture's overarching policy recognizes the important role of natural resource management, but also sustainable agriculture in order for us to increase agriculture production and productivity. Within this National Agriculture Policy, one of the key items also that is emerging is that of climate resilience. The need to mainstream climate resilience in agriculture. And if you're talking about climate resilience, it means agroecology, you cannot leave it out. So we do recognize, and we have made sure that it has been included and it has been mentioned. Not only mentioned in passing, but practical strategies also put in place to make sure that it's not just a sentence or a ticking of a box in a policy, but we have put strategies for the next 5 years, how we want to make sure that agroecology has been mainstreamed within the agriculture sector. Now, coming from the Department of Land Resource Conservation, We do recognize agroecology. I'll also mention about the agricultural land resource management policy. But from a land management point of view, what I wanted to stress was the recognition that we have of soil as an ecosystem. So we understand the soil as an ecosystem in which we have living and non-living things. And through their interaction, you have the flow of nutrients. And we need these nutrients for agriculture production. And as a department, we do differentiate between soil fertility and soil health. Previously, we used to talk a lot about soil fertility, but now we are talking about soil health, which we translate as the Tanzilantaka. So when you look at the Tanzilantaka, soil health, it's more than just fertility. And it means we're not just focusing on the application of the organic fertilizers in which you are just like a direct injection of these nutrients on the plant. We are now focusing on the soil itself as an ecosystem. There are living and non-living things within the soil. How can we sustain them? And through the various practices that we are promoting, we want to build a living soil. We want to promote the diversity of living plants which are in the soil, living things which are in the soil, so that through their interactions we can have the nutrients. So a number of interventions that we promote, agroforestry, crop diversification, mixed intercropping, they are all speaking towards soil health, that we should build the soil as an ecosystem, more than just focusing on fertility, which is just one indicator of soil health, but how can we build the soil health? And in building soil health, it means there's a very strong recognition of agroecology as key to rebuilding the soil health. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate the bringing up of the two, soil fertility and soil health, and looking at the soil as a living ecosystem. Which brings me now to my next point to Mr. Montani. As AFAP, we know that you are implementing the fertilizer and soil health plan, soil health that is just mentioned. What is your role in this?
Right. So my name is Kumbukani Mutali, like you've mentioned. I work with African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership, AFAP, Malawi. And indeed, we are taking part in the implementation of the 10-year action plan on soil health and fertilizer. So far as AFAP, what we did was to internally come up with a field guide. So it's a soil health field guide for our frontline staff in the field. Why? Why? Because we came across a lot of material that is out there that is all promoting soil health. But then it was not unified, or there was no uniformity in the messaging. So there are different organizations that are promoting different soil health initiatives, but then the messaging is different. So I wanted to put together all this material in one document, which our frontline field staff could actually, utilize. And we involved different partners as well, including the Department of Agricultural Research Services, DAS, and also partners from Farmers Union of Malawi, IFAD, and so many other organizations, to a validation workshop where we went through this manual, and they had to come in to make sure it is actually in line with the government policies. Even our colleagues from Department of Land Resources were there. The step we are remaining with now is to have it cleared by the Technology Clearing Committee, but also the Department of Extension, so that it can actually be used. But as we wait for that process, we also developed what we call the soil health calendar. And on this calendar, we basically split the year into 4 sections. So January to March, then April to June, then July to September, and then October to December. And at each level, at each stage of the year, were the activities that we're encouraging farmers to do. So for example, in the January to March period, we're encouraging farmers to plant agroforestry trees, and specifically looking at fertilizer trees like Msango and so many other fertilizer trees that are out there. And then within the space of April, May, June, we're encouraging farmers not to burn their crop residues, because that also does a lot of damage to the soil. So if we're to maintain good soil health, like he mentioned, we should encourage farmers not to burn crop residues. And crop residues also play a very big role when it comes to composting and all that. And we also, in the 2024-2025 growing season, we established 385 soil health learning sites. So these are sites where smallholder farmers are going to, where we are demonstrating the different practices and different technologies related to soil health, so that they learn hands-on and they should be able to go and implement in their own fields. So that's what we are doing so far, apart from just also helping with the dissemination of the 10-year action plan on soil health. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a quick follow-up question on that. For the unified messaging, is there any chance for the agroecology community to still have a voice before it is passed by the ATC?
Yes, there's a huge chance. And I'm thinking we should maybe touch base after this workshop, after this conference. And maybe we can align, we can actually send you the manual and see if there are any components that we can bring into it, and then we can take it for clearing.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. So you've just heard it. There is room for us as agroecology practitioners to still have some input in this unified messaging process that they are currently having. Thank you. Professor Campbell, as academia now, let's hear from you. What role do research institutions or academic institutions play in the adoption of agroecology?
Thank you so much, facilitator. Looking for what are the training institutions doing to make sure that agroecology thrives in our country. Let me pick one domain that institutions of higher learning are very much working on. So the domain that I'm focusing on much is about research. We know institutions of higher learning, they are known for doing research mostly, besides other functions like doing outreach and so forth. But research so far in the higher learning has been very conventional. Conventional in the sense you can predict what they want to research on, they come to farmers to confirm their hypotheses and so forth. But I think in our case, the extension department at Luana is changing the way research has to be done in line with the agroecology. First, we appreciate that agroecology is a very research-based field. It requires constant research. It requires a lot of working together with farmers to generate solutions to the problems that they are facing. So we're trying to change the way research is supposed to be done. And we are trying to make sure that research is about finding out what works and what is not working for you. I think that's how agroecology is being done. It's not about taking what others have researched on elsewhere. It's about you doing research yourself. And that's what farmers are doing. So farmers are not doing the research in a conventional way. Farmers are doing research about to find out what works for them and what is not working for them. And in the process, research is also moving towards more about learning by doing. That's what we see farmers doing. As they are doing different practices and so forth, they are also learning It's not about farmers adopting what we're bringing to them, but it's farmers doing what works for them and learning as they are doing what they are doing. So this is what we see, and it's happening, that farmers are kind of solutions to the problems that they are facing, and therefore our job is really, as researchers, we're moving in a direction where our emphasis now is more about building the capacity of farmers to identify their problems. What problems are they having with their farming, and come up with solutions to the problems that they are facing. In this case, for us, researcher, even the farmer is a researcher. I know some people don't agree, but we at Luana, we believe that a farmer is a researcher. He knows what he's doing. He has problems, and he has a way to do research and come up with solutions to the problems that they are facing. If you ask me what are we doing, what we are doing mostly is building capacity of the farmers to do research. First, by finding the problems that they have and come up with solutions to the problems that they have through their own research, not research done by someone. If someone comes, he has to do research with the farmers to build their capacity and increase their level of innovativeness. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So he's talking about not conventional research, but farmers leading the process. That's beautiful. Now, let us talk to Nozenji for a bit. I've been asking, I think, everyone literally the same question. What is the role? So what is your role as PELAM, as a coordinating network for CSOs that are practicing agroecology?
Thank you so much, Chifundo. For those that don't know PELAM, PELAM stands for Participatory Ecological Land Use Management. It's an association of organizations that are promoting agroecology in the country. And as an association, we have a secretariat in Uganda, which means that we also have presence in other countries, for example, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda itself, and some countries in Central Africa. So for our work in Malawi, we usually work on the coordination efforts in agroecology, because this one is now at different levels. At national level, we work as a secretariat, while at a community level, now we work with the communities, but with the partner organizations. So as at a country level, you can see that this agroecology conference is for learning, exchange, and enhancing skills and knowledge. That means that our work is also mandated towards that. We work towards advocacy. All this that we're doing here is towards advocating for promoting agroecology at all levels. And also doing campaigns. We are currently doing a campaign of inclusion of agroecology into the climate action. We've always talked about financing and financing mechanisms in the climate action, but there was one missing link, agroecology, as one of the measures of adaptation for climate change. This is actually not really coming out explicitly and exclusively in the climate negotiations, and we're doing a campaign to build evidence to make sure that even for negotiators at COP know what they're talking about when it comes to agroecology. These things are working, as we have already witnessed in yesterday's field visits. And it's up to them now to take up these messages towards the financing, increasing the financing mechanism towards agroecology when it comes to adaptation. We are also working on seed and food sovereignty. Let's be frank. This year, seed is going to be very expensive, as we've already seen on the market. What happens if I don't have seed? So there are many mechanisms that we are using as communities, as farmers, to make sure that production is still continuing, even if the seed is too expensive, but we are still producing our food. So our food should not depend on a corporate. Our seed will not depend on a corporate. Everyone has the right or the liberty to produce the food that they want. If you want kwetegele, you're going to have kwetegele. If you want telele, you're going to have telele. Not the other household is going to tell you what you are going to eat in your household. These are things that we are promoting, seed and food sovereignty at all levels. Our work is also making sure that we are recognizing the role of the farmers, the women, in the production of healthy diets, of healthy foods. We do encourage as much as possible for households to produce food in a very biodegradable way as much as possible. So the use of bio-imports, reducing the cost of production at a household level, and also promoting the sustainable food systems transformation. At a national level, we also work with other stakeholders to make sure that the frameworks that are in the country are also including national stakeholders in the formulation of those frameworks, so that at the end of the day, critical national steering committees also involve people that are promoting agroecology for the messaging to also be included in those frameworks. Thank you very much. I think I can stop there for now.
Okay. Thank you very much. You mentioned quite a lot about promoting bio-inputs, bio-fertilizers, so that they are degradable. So now my next question is to you, Mr. Mutali, again, on how we can, because we know you work with fertilizers and bio-inputs, how can we make our fertilizers or these bio-inputs that Nozenji is talking about, how do we make them more effective?
Okay, quite an interesting question. The problem we have right now is that we've had an influx of the so-called biofertilizers on the market. And these are promoted by different companies and organizations. And we can't really tell where most of them are coming from. And I'm happy that the Malawi Bureau of Standards has stepped up and have come in to put together standards and certifications for these bio products. And I think that's the #1 step that we needed to take as a country, to put in place the standards for certification of biofertilizers. And that also, I think, goes to our own manure. There were statements made here on Tuesday, if I recall, to say the only manure amenalovomerezeka ndamena pangidwa clear in the technology clearing committee. But my question is, who clears the manure amenwapanga mulimi kunyumba, right? So even the issue of messaging, I think there is something that we can do about it. And I also liked the point where Solebana Govat, I'll put you on the spot. He actually mentioned to say they have rolled out a soil testing exercise, which is for free, and they're using satellite images and all that kind of stuff. I think those are some of the initiatives that we can also ride on to make sure that the manure that we are making is actually well aligned with the soils or the soil condition of a farmer's field. How? We need to first understand the status of that soil before we can apply like any other manure. Much as manure has more benefits than maybe the inorganic fertilizers, because organic fertilizers will simply supply nutrients, but manure will do more than just supply nutrients. Amabangisa kuti ntagatu ija imasuke, there should be aeration, it should be able to sustain crop production. So soil testing, soil mapping would be very key again to make sure that these manures and also biofertilizers, are benefiting the farmers more than we can expect. So I can stop there for now.
Thank you. So he's mentioned the benefits of the manure. So aeration, all of that, but also challenges, flooding of the market with substandard products. So now, I think we are now on challenges already. So, ndifuse kwa tambula. Iniyo mavuto makumana nao pa ulimumene wa agroecology. Makala mukupanga kwa TA na nkumba. Ndorana.
Ulimi umene mavuto omwe tukumana nawo pa ulimi wathu kwa TA na nkumba. Monga tikunenera kuti tili gawo lobwezeresa chonde munthaka kuti nthaka ikhale ya moyo. Mwina kumbali imeneyo tikumana mwina ndi mavuto ona kuti kusowa kwa mbewu kapena njere zimene mwina tingafese ku madera athu kuti mwina tizale mitengo yochuluka kapena yobwesa chonde munthaka. Ndi ochepa amene timatha kufikira chifukwa mwina umatha kubwera bungwe monga ife bungwe la kusamala latengako anthu ochepa amene akugwira nawo ntchito, koma gawo lalikulu anthu ambiri sali gulu ngati bungwe limeneyo, ndi kuti apeze thandizo limene lija pamakhala povuta. Ndiye timapempha kuti pakufunika mwina upangiri wabwino kuti wina aliyese muzinthuzo zimfikire kuti mwina kuti kubwezeresa chonde kukhale kwa wina aliyese kuti mwina dziko lathu likhale labwino.
Zikomo mwachula zoti mufuna zifikire wina aliyese yeti mukuziona ubwino wake.
Ndi ubwino na kuti zitafikira wina aliyese ndizoti zitha kutichitira ubwino chifukwa chona kuti tikufuna kuti ziko wina aliyese akhale ndi chokudya chokwanira komanso anthu athanzi, ndi kuti thanzi likufunika ziko lonse. Ndiye ndikufunika kuti wina aliyese zitamfikira zinthu zona kuti tizitha kupanga aliyese payekha kuti aliyese khomo lake likhale la thanzi, kuti titero ndi kuti Malawi akhala wabwino. Kupanda kutero kuti zikafikira anthu ochepa ndi kuti Malawi sakhala wabwino, koma tikafikira wina aliyese Malawi akhala wabwino. Ndi kuti ngakhale boma silingamavutike ndi kulimbana kugawa chakudya chifukwa wina aliyese zamufikira thandizo lija ndipo wapanga aliyese pakhomo pake aliyese ali chokudya chokwanira. Zikomo.
Bwana Ntara mwaimva nkaniro akuti wafuna zifikire wina aliyese. So as government, how can we bridge this gap?
Yes, thank you very much, moderator. As government, especially Minister of Agriculture, we have Department of Agriculture Extension Services. So the Department of Agriculture Extension Services is supposed to be the link between the research and the farmer. This is done through messaging, production of different extension circulars to make sure that what has been found out from research, what is working from research, and the information can be put into a message that the farmers can use. So through print, but also through various other channels, the Department of Agriculture Extension is responsible for disseminating, making sure that as many farmers as possible have access to these technologies. But also, remember, as Minister of Agriculture, we also have the Department of Agriculture Research does. So apart from the academia, like Rwanda doing research, within the Ministry of Agriculture, we also have a specific department responsible for research. And I wanted to agree with Dr. Gambewa that even the Department of Agriculture Research, one of the approaches they are doing is that of adaptive research. So doing the research together with farmers on their fields. But also another way that we are using to make sure that these technologies can reach out to as many farmers as possible is through the establishment of farmer field schools. So it's a way of learning, it's a way of disseminating the practice, but also farmers can try out different things, see which one is working, and adopt what they see to be working. So we have different extension methodologies. The Farmer Field School is also one of it. Lastly but not least, my colleague from AFAP mentioned about the ATCC. So the ATCC is a body within the Department of Agricultural Research that makes sure that the technologies that are going to the farmers have been tried and tested, and we have a standardized message which will not confuse the farmers. So through the ATCC, we are also making sure that there is regulation and that we can also put the different manufacturers of these various bio-inputs in line through testing and making sure that we certify whatever they are taking out to the farmers. Thank you.
Thank you. So tanowalwa kwambiri munkhani ya research panopoti pama messages kuti zimapangidwa clear bwanji wanakambewa. You've mentioned that you do research with farmers. You let farmers lead. Farmer-led research is what we are into now. But how do we then get this messaging out to everyone so that everyone knows it? He has mentioned a few, Mr. Ntara, farmer field schools, whatever, but how else does academia get it? How do we get access to this farmer-led research?
Yeah, Ziko Mwambili, how do we get this message about farmer research to everyone? I think this point she raised from Nankumba has to be sustained in the context of how do we do research, farmer research, and so forth. Last week we had another meeting within Lilongwe where there were close to 70 people who came and they're talking about agroecological practices. And the question was, or the issue that originated from the meeting was, yes, things are being done, but very few are the ones doing it. So if you ask agroecological practices on the ground, yes, they're there, but very few people are the ones doing it. And I think the point we left was really to say, answer the question, why is it only few people are doing these things? And I think this requires honest reflection on our side, on ourselves, because business as usual was picked as one of the things that is failing things to move. Business as usual is one of the reasons things are not moving. And business as usual by the farmers themselves, business as usual by extension, business as usual as ourselves, researchers, and so forth. So the belief in farmer research is that if farmers do research themselves, they should be able to do things themselves. And that's what I think we believe, and that's what we're going for. Farmers, yes, they can learn from their friends about what is happening and do something about it. But I think what is so dominant in us is that conventional way of thinking. To go to the level of co-creating knowledge with different people, we are still struggling. We still believe somebody can generate knowledge, solutions, and pass those to people for people to adopt. I think that's why we're struggling. And that's how extension is working. They believe that a bullet technology in the name of agroecology, and they take it down to the farmer for farmer to adopt. It will never happen. Agroecology is not a technology. Agroecology is a set of principles for designing farming. You cannot adopt a principle. You can only understand it and apply it. And that's what we're doing in this particular case. So if you are really struggling with agroecology, is we are approaching it as a technology to transfer to people, instead of working with the people to understand what works for them, and they move on. And the agroecology is very context specific. It's very context specific. The things that will work for farmer X will be different from what works for farmer B. That's why they have to experiment themselves and find what works for them. And that's how things go in that particular way. So, yes, there are few farmers doing agroecology. And it comes out that one of the things is business as usual. The way we're used to do things, that's the way we're doing. We don't reflect on the way we're doing things and come up with a way to change the way we're doing things. Pass technology to others. Technologies are for others, not for ourselves. Do it yourself.
Wow, business as usual. Yeah, so we've been encouraged not to use the business as usual sense of doing things. So from the CSOs, business as usual. How do we look at that in the CSO world? How are CSOs coordinated, and how is agroecology moving in the business as usual or not in the business as usual world?
Okay, a lot has been spoken about. Dwelling on the business as usual, I think business as usual, most of us as actors in the CSO world, in agroecology, we are actually working in silos, and coordination somehow is not really strong. For example, you're going to actually be surprised that some people who are actually very, very good at agroecology, they're really doing a lot of work, they're really doing good work, but they did not know about the National Agroecology Conference, for example. Maybe some of them knew this very late. So the coordination, I think, is kind of a very big problem. And for us to have a united voice, even in terms of advocacy, we need to work as a collective voice. For example, we have a number of networks in this country. There is Permaculture Network of Malawi, which still speaks to agroecology, promotes agroecology with different individuals, organizations, and farmers. There is the organic farmers movement in Malawi, or that there is Magnet, the Malawi Agrobiodiversity Network, that also speaks to promotion and protection of agrobiodiversity in the country. There is a multi-stakeholder platform, the Malawi Agroecology Hub. You see, all these, they are working, but they're working in silos. Unfortunately, I think we also have a problem that sometimes we get funding based on specific motive and specific work and agenda for our networks. And that's why the problem of coordination comes in. But apparently, for example, if I talk about the Agroecology Conference, I would love for all those networks to work hand in hand with PELAM to make sure that we design this conference together, even with farmers themselves, so that at the end of the day, you see the outcomes that speak to everyone. Yeah, that's what I've seen as a challenge in terms of coordination.
Thank you. So everyone's mentioned challenges in their own regards. Atambula poti mwatengapo microphone pompo. Muta ngondi yankako. Inuyo mavuto mwe mukukumana nao. Mavuto mwe mukukumana nao. Mukuona kuti angatetsedwe bwanji.
Okay. Kumbali ya mavuto amene tikukumana nawo pakuona kwanga ndikuona ngati kuti patakhala mgwirizano weniweni wokhazikika mwina kumbali ya kaya ndi mabungwe, chifukwa chomwe chimachitika nchona kuti mabungwe ndi osiyanasiyana ndi amatha kufika kudera kubwera mabungwe mwina angapo bunge lina likubwesa ulimi mwina mapangidwe awo kapangidwe kamanyowa dongosolo lake lawo ena akubwera akupangaso dongosolo lina ena akubwera akubwesaso uthenga uja mwina mulimi amakhangala akubalalika sakukhazikika pa chinthu chimodzi ndiye timaona ngati kuti mwina atakhala kuti pali mgwirizano wa mabunge kapena boma pa chinthu chimodzi kuti pakhale uthenga umodzi weniweni wena kuti ukamakafikira kwa alimi ukafikire wofanana kuti wina aliyense ukamakampeza kuti kaye kuti akakhale kuti uthenga tikulandirawo ndi umodzi ndiye kuti ngati uthenga utakulandira umodzi ndiye kuti ndikuziona kuti dziko lonse lizakhala kuti lathandizika ndipo tikupanga chinthu chimodzi chofanana komanso tizakhala ndi malo abwino tizatukuka zikomo.
Inde uthenga uzifanana. I think this message has been resonating through all the speakers this morning. We need to have a unified message. I think the rapporteurs have caught that has come out as a major theme, as a major issue in today's deliberations. Zikomo kwambiri atambula. Yes, so final question for everyone. Anta, what is the way forward for government and policies? Are there any areas where, as the agroecology movement, we can work with government or zone in?
Yes, thank you very much, the moderator. I remember there was a very heated debate on policy earlier on. There was also a very good presentation from the presenter on the policy review that was done. And my response will reflect on the question, but also the discussion which was there earlier on. Now, are there policies and plans? Yes. I'll mention the National Agriculture Policy, but also the Agricultural Land Resource Management Policy. The National Agriculture Policy, especially Policy Statement number 3, dissemination and promotion of good agriculture policies suitable for specific agroecology. So even the National Agriculture Policy recognizes that the country has specific agroecologies. There are no blanket recommendations that all interventions or practices can be done across the country. So the National Agriculture Policy identifies 8 agroecological zones, which we call ADDs. ADDs, we normally say Agriculture Development Divisions. But the division of ADDs was based on agroecology. So that's the most important aspect where the government recognizes the need to recognize these agroecologies and come up with area-specific interventions and practices based on these agroecologies. Policy statement number 7 within the National Agriculture Policy is also talking about ensuring proper land use planning. So the policy facilitates agroecological mapping and characterization of attributes to inform area-specific interventions. So how do we apply the different agroecology principles in the different agroecologies? We have a National Agriculture Policy which is giving a guide to that. The Agricultural Land Resource Management Policy, priority area number 1, the outcome is increased area under sustainable agricultural land management. And under this one, specifically, the policy intends to support emerging climate resilient interventions, especially agroecology, nature-based solutions, and regenerative agriculture. So there is a very good space of agroecology within these policies. I've just mentioned 2. But when I look across the other policies which Professor Gambewa mentioned, somewhere along the way there is a disjoint in terms of the practice on the ground and the goal of the policy. Because sometimes you have a goal, you have a policy mission, what he was mentioning as the intent, then you have the strategy, then you have the tracking mechanism. Somewhere we tend to lose focus along the way. So what we are tracking, the data we are collecting, is not really help us to advance what we wanted to as our goal, as overall goal. So in the promotion of agroecology, we need to have a very good reflection across the different policies. Yes, the policies have mentioned something about agroecology, but how is it being reflected in the data being collected and in the tracking mechanism? Are we collecting the right data that can help us to ensure that we are advancing towards the vision that we have for agroecology in Malawi? So we need to have a conversation at a higher level to make sure that in terms of data collection and monitoring should speak to the policy goals and should speak to the vision that we have on agroecology as a country. As the agroecology movement, there is a lot that we can work with government, and our presence here is testimony to that. In terms of advocacy, we need investments in agroecology. In terms of development of an agroecology strategy, I remember, if you scan through the agricultural land resource management policy, there is a specific output to develop an agroecology strategy. So even during the discussion, I heard one or two people mentioning about the need to develop a strategy. So that has been captured within the land resource policy. We want to run away from having so many policies but very little action on the ground. So within the land resource management policy, there is already an output that by 2030, we need to have an agroecology strategy. We need to work together in terms of mindset change. As Dr. Professor Kambewa mentioned, agroecology is not a technology, it's a practice. So much as we want to see the hardware aspects of it, but there is a lot of software engineering that we need to do to change the mindset of people. Lastly but not least, collaboration and coordination is key to avoid misinformation and distortions. So we have the different platforms, we have the different networks. Let's find ways to come to one table so that by the end of the day we can speak with one language. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fine. Thank you very much. I hope you all heard that there are opportunities with government. I heard the strategy. So maybe that's something we can talk about in the afternoon when we talk about actions. There's already room for us to engage with government on an agroecology strategy. For me, that's very good news. Yes, so next, I would like to talk to Mr. Montag. Your last words. AFAP also focuses on markets. The goal of every farmer is to have a market or to sell their agroecology inputs. Yeah. What can you tell us about that one? What is the role of agroecology and how can we increase our markets?
Okay, good one as well. First, I'll get clarification from you. Is agroecology organic?
Maybe we should ask the room. There's a question here. Is agroecology organic?
Alimanzanga agroecology. Ndife ma organic farmers gavena sife ma organic farmers. Organic, eh?
Maybe semi-organic farmers.
Okay. Ndingo yanka funsolo. Zina zotika mbira na mina palanchip. Andi mundirole funsolo lili ndipatikiza ndi tujizungu ndi chichewa. Nkani ya markets imavuta pamfundo imozo yambirira. Alime ambiri timayamba kukalima ndu ukasaka nsika wa mbewu. Zimenezo sizatithandiza kuti mulimi uthandizike ukwena kuti ukapezekaye nsika kenako ukalime chimene nsika ukutani kodi ukufuna. Kazamveka kaya kapena ndayankhula chininga? Ndayankhula chininga? Okay, so what is supposed to happen is, first you need to find out what is the market looking for. Osangoti podali yensa kulima tomato ineso ndikalime tomato, but what is the market looking for? So whatever the market is looking for, you need to go and produce that and supply to the market. That's the number one thing that I can say. But then with regards to organics, I'm an organic farmer as well. Inendi malima ndimapanga ulimi wa nkhuku za lokolo. So naneso ndina yesera ko kufufuza unena kuti ndipeze misika yabwino ya nkhuku za organic ndiwena kuti nditani. There's a whole process of certification for you to be a certified organic farmer and so no alimanzanga tente wapemphe mabungu amene ali panowa kuti atipange link ndi amene amapanga ma certifications ma organic products. So that way atopanga kuti apanga streamline the whole process kuti okay mulimi ukafuna kupanga certify ma products ako poyambira ndi apa pokamalizira ndi apo pamene utakalandire certification yako kuna kuti ma products ako onse nda organic. Chachiwiri alimi ku Malawi kunoko much as kuti awama anena za ma organizations kuti they work in silos, most farmers also work in silos. Yati ma premium markets ama products amene alipo, number 1 amafuna quality yabwino, number 2 amafuna consistent supply. So iweyo ngati mulimi weka mwina uli ndi malo ako 2 acres 3 acres kandi 10 acres, there is only so much that you can produce per acre ndikupanga supply ku market. So you cannot reach that market immediately a premium chifukwa choti they will need consistent supply iweyo ngati mulimi weka. What does that call for? It calls for working in groups, working in cooperatives, working in associations, because that way you have bargaining power. Mumakandi mphamvu yonena kuti imagine kuti tonsefe tili muno fe ndife alimi tili under cooperative imodzi kudera kwathu kuja no vendor will come and buy mbewu mudzimo nonsenu musanagwirizane mtengo. Okay, so you have a bargaining power yonena kuti okay ife yona mbewu zizi mkati ndimene talowetsa mundamu mitengo yathu tufuna kuti yambira pa mapita msogolo amene asakufuna adani kodi asiye titati tigwirizane tonsefe ngati dziko mukuona ngati vendor zati pangaso manipulate ndi mitengo ngati sizingatheke. Okay, that's number 2. So ngani ya bargaining power komanso kukwanitsa ma quantities woti tikapange supply kuma premium markets because they need consistent supply ndiye kuti zitha kutithandizira so kugwira ntchito ngati magulu. Number 3, timapanga produce zinthu za organic. Koma the question is how many consumers out there are aware of the benefits of eating organic products? So we need to create awareness. Tikapanga create awareness itithandizira so kupanga generate demand. Tikapanga generate demand itikandimesika, we will produce more and we will also be able to sell more. Chomalizira policy. Policy sititawira tu ya nkhani za policy. We can lobby with the government and I'm happy the government is here. They may not be the direct ones, but they can actually take the message to the relevant ministry and department. My tax breaks, if necessary, let there be provided my tax breaks. Mwina my farmers who are my equipment and I get to process, to package and all that, let government come in and say, okay, importation and materials are packaging there will be no tax. And let me also mention, last year, January, the Minister of Agriculture anatulutsa a booklet about 76 pages, kama incentives for my farmers. Ndangada alimamene tukadziwa zoti ka booklet amene kakaliko. Kuti kuli buku nditwala thunthu limene limafotokoza za zinthu zimene mungagule kuchokera kunja osalipira msonkho komanso katundu amene mungantulutse kuchokera Malawi muno kuti kupita kunja osalipira msonkho. Ndangada alimamene tukudziwa ndochepa kwambiri komano buku limene ndithu lilipo ndipo mtati muligwiritse ntchito muthaso kukhalanso eniyo beneficiary wa ma incentives amenewo ndenderekezera pamenepo zikomo.
Zikomo kwambiri akambewa final thoughts. What more can be done to bridge that gap between research and implementation?
Thank you, the Master of Ceremony. The gap can be identified and it's identified, and we need to bridge that gap. But I think there are issues which will really play a big role as per our idea that farmers should be the ones to do research. Our job is to build their capacity to do research. For agroecology to work, farmers have to be doing their own research. However, I think we have to be really aware. It's not an easy process because already I can pick, we are working in an environment where people talk about good agricultural practices, meaning there are bad agricultural practices. Usually, what farmer does is labeled as bad agricultural practices. The good agricultural practices will be found in Guide to Agricultural Production. There, a farmer is suppressed to do research which will benefit him. Again, we are hearing of technology clearing. If farmers are going to do research themselves, research which solves their problems, what are the chances that they will be cleared by the farmer? Who clears who? A farmer is already on the losing side. And I think the issue is raised about seed. The seed the farmer keeps is not seed. The seed he buys from the shop is seed. But the same farmer is taken as an outgrower. He grows seed for the company, it's a good seed. The same farmer, he grows that seed without a seed company, it's not good seed. These things that are suppressing farmers to do research. Now I hear of M-based standards. How agroecological are these standards? How do they support a farmer to do research? Is the research by a farmer going to be recognized? Or these standards are skewed towards conventional research? Issues that are there. So a farmer still has a long way for him to do the research that supports him, that solves the problems he faces. And that's what I see.
Thank you very much. Atu, who clears who? The farmer is suppressed there. So the farmer is always suppressed. So, in terms of the CSO space, you talked about silos, what do you see as the best way for us to move forward to clear these silos? What would be the best way for CSOs to move forward in agroecology?
Working together, I think that is the only way, working together. We are not working against each other, not at all. We are working for the same goal. Agroecology, we are working towards sustaining a transformative food system. Every one of us wants to have a healthy diet at the end of the day. Every one of us wants a livelihood that is sustainable. Every one of us individually is working towards a legacy for 3-4 generations to come, and every one of us is working towards a sustainable environment for the future generations, the now generation. So everything is connected in food systems, and everything is complex in food systems. The food systems governance requires a multi-stakeholder platform. It requires a lot of sectors working together. So even for agroecology, we don't have to work in silos. Farmers, organizations, the government as well. All those policies, even the strategy that Mr. Ndhara has talked about, that requires a multi-stakeholder platform. It requires consultations, deep consultations from the farmers themselves, from the different departments. It won't work that way. At the end of the day, you don't have to wait for another 5 years. Actually, the moment the policy or strategies come out, when people read it, they're surprised. What is this? It doesn't speak to me. Where were you during consultations? Were you consulted or not? So even the government doesn't have, you don't have to just work with the consultants. No, the consultants are here. These ones, whatever you need to be included in the policy comes from here. These are the ideas that need to be in the policy, in the strategy, and we want actually to commit ourselves to this. When the strategy initiative is starting, we as PELAM, we as CSOs will be there. We are going to offer support in each and every way that the government needs, whether it's monetary. Of course, I'm speaking for every development partner now. We are coming on your door to ask for this money that I'm committing here. So we are here to make sure that we are supporting those, because at the end of the day, it's us, the common man, the farmer, who also have to implement, right? Who also have to be affected by that policy, by that strategy. So our voices need to be included there. So I think for the CSOs and for everyone else, we just need to work together. Remember, we're not working against each other. Whether the money is coming from that way or that way, we're working towards a common goal. Thank you so much, Fundo.
Thank you. I think those are beautiful words to end on. We all have the same goal. So even if we speak on a research, we are speaking from markets or soil health level or from a policy perspective, we all have the same goal. Thank you very much, panelists. It was a pleasure to chat with you this morning, this afternoon now. I stand to be guided by Frank, whether we have time for questions from everyone, from the audience.
Okay, so you have heard a lot of declarations, a lot of commitments coming from the high table there. And maybe we have some reactions that we want to make. So brief.
Questions. But somebody who has been in this space for quite a long time, and I've worked for Yara for 22 years, which is a fertilizer company and very agroecologically sensitive, and they fund some of these things at that corporate level. The first thing that I was going to talk is based on what Nozjeni mentioned about networking, stakeholder platforms. My professor who was teaching me networking at World Economic Forum mentioned this. Talk does not cook rice. You can talk as much as you want. If somebody is not leaving the house into the market to buy rice, somebody looks for firewood to light the fire and start cooking rice, you will not eat rice. And this is what is happening now with these forums. There's a lot of talking, but no action. Number one, organic food, the question that you ask. Organic versus food safety. I think at one time we have to give time to Stacia to talk about this, because these two are two different things. The international markets wants food safe products, not organic. How you produce it, they are not worried. That's number one. Two, we have noticed in the private sector that agroecology is driven by passion. So everybody who is here, who is doing agroecology, there is nothing that is driving them but passion. But for it to make sense, it has to be business driven, market oriented, as my colleague there has mentioned. So we have to make sure that it makes sense business wise, otherwise it will remain a passion. Number three, we need a task force to develop this. As we leave this place, we need to develop a task force that will be given special tasks to deliver, especially in development of the act. So we have to have a task force that will drive the process to make sure that we've got the act, the policy, and the strategy. Number 3, the issue of technology clearing NACDEC and harmonized messaging. I will speak now for DAEC because he's I'm a partner, we are partner in MAFAS. I am going to tell you here on behalf of government, sorry there is a government officer, but the way I look at government. In government there is everything we need. Right now government doesn't need to do anything. Government has prepared everything. There is the National Agriculture Content Development Committee in which Owen Lupesha is a member, which can harmonize the messages. The question is, where do you go with your agroecology messages to be certified by government? The government has got the structures. Why are you not going there? The issue is you are money driven based on your donor. Okay? So it's not a question of government. Government has got the structures. Secondly, there is the Guide to Agricultural Production produced in 2021. Go in chapter 2. All these things that we are talking about here are covered there in full, including soil testing of all Malawi, including site-specific fertilizers for each of the ADDs. They are there. Why you are not using them? It's your problem. It's not a government problem. Number 3, the next review of the gap. Let's lobby this technical committee or technical working group should work towards so that the next gap should include a chapter on agroecology, specific, so that the messages that are spread around everywhere are put in one place. That will also guide in harmonizing messages. Lastly, the issue of ensuring that this is being done. I can confirm to you here that private sector farmers have gone into agroecology big time, and we've got about 7 farmers who are doing over 400 hectares, and they have reduced their fertilizers by half by just adopting agroecology practices for the past 3 years. So it's being done. The only thing is they are not part of this dialogue. Why you discuss the same things every year? As somebody has mentioned, every year you discuss the same thing, no action. Next time we expect policy will come out. That's this. Let's change. Let's have a task force that will stop the talking, so that we can eat rice. Thank you.
Okay. How do we eat the rice? Okay. Oh, you have the mic, yes. And then you have the mic, and then I'll give you the side. Yeah.
No, I totally agree on the kind of technology versus practice approach. And I think much more should be driven from the grassroots, from the bottom up. But also I think there is not one solution for everybody. We cannot sit waiting for the answer. Every farmer is going to have their own answer, and I think until a level of farmer education or a farmer understanding of some of the issues, until that rolls out, I think that we're just going to be stuck waiting for somebody to come up with the answers. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. So no one answer when you're talking about agroecology. You also have a mic there.
Thank you, DR, for giving me an opportunity to say something. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we should treat this meeting as a meeting not talking about soil health and fertilizer, but we are talking about ourselves here, because it's soil that we as human beings depend on. So we must treat this one as an emergency, not like work as usual. We're in an emergency, we're in a crisis, and if we don't take this as a crisis, then we're not going to go anywhere. We'll just be talking and talking and talking. Malawi as a government is full of learned people, professors like Associate Professor Kambewa. We have Mr. Ngwira there. I think I'm not mispronouncing your name. With the good policies that we have, we lack actually to implement them. We lack enforcement of the policies that we have. This must be taken seriously. Democracy in Malawi has given us an opportunity, but at the same time, democracy has proved to be a little bit, problematic in terms of we think it's like we've allowed everybody to do things as usual, things that they want. I don't think our friends in the West, like my little girl here, not little girl, I hope in their country they don't just cut down trees. You people, some of the people that have managed to go outside, you know how people are taking care of their environment. But in Malawi, we don't. The assumption that everyone should be free to do as he or she wants, I think is taking us nowhere. And it's high time that we thought about how are we going to do this. What is going to be the result of these meetings? Look at how many we are. A lot of money has been spent. Is this meeting going to show results? Or next year we're going to talk about the same thing? This must take seriously, rather than just having, like having a holiday, 5 days holiday in Lilongwe, like for me coming from Machinga. What we need is an enforcement of the laws. Is the laws that have to be enforced. Of course, we could talk of incentives, right? But incentives should not be a priority. But should we think of those incentives? Maybe we can talk of like those that are beneficiaries of subsidized agriculture inputs or whatever you call them. Maybe that fertilizer, those inputs should go to only people that have conserved their soils, that have conserved their land, rather than making it like a political thing. We need to shift from policies that just sit on tables in the shelves. We need to go into action. I'm an old guy, 65 years old, but the majority of you are young people. What is there for your future? What is it going to be when you're at my age? Some of you are 30-something. No, we have to think like we are talking about ourselves, not necessarily that we are coming for a workshop that has been organized by Agroecology, what, no. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Frank. Thank you to the panel and our moderator there. I think such rich information coming out, and I wonder if we just need to change the way we're talking. I think it was mentioned in terms of coordination and working in silos, and Mr. Govati there as well. And I feel like very strongly that we're doing this the wrong way. There are many of us sitting in the room that have been doing versions of agroecology for almost our entire career, and have so much experience on the ground. And getting people to be a part of the conversation is one of the hardest things to do here, and overcoming the silos and looking for coordination that's removed of ego and being this global presentation that we've just done this. I think the ego has to be removed as well, and we have to come from a very grounded humility perspective and answer the fundamental questions. What are the issues we're facing, not only globally but in Malawi? Malnutrition is higher. The issues of climate change keep increasing. We have multiple health issues in the health facilities, and it's all driven by the way we're treating the environment. So I always worry with trends. Working in this space for so long, we've gone from sustainability to climate resilience within a space of 15 years with multiple terms. I think you mentioned NBS, nature-based solutions, agroecology, regenerative agriculture, climate smart. We have all of these terms that we have, but there's no unification. And it would just be so great to see if this hub and this platform can be that, but really work with people that are facing the fundamental issues. And it shouldn't be business as usual, as the professor said, and changing conversation, our ego has to change, that mindset aspect that we're talking about. And it doesn't always have to be profit-driven. Doesn't always have to be profit-driven. We are facing so many issues on the ground, so it would be great to see something come out of this that is not tabled here, and we go away and we'll hear again next year there's another agroecology conference. So.
All right, thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the panelists for a wonderful information. For me, as I was listening to you guys, I've discovered an opportunity that the government and the CSOs can work together, and probably all stakeholders. Because the government did mention that they're planning to have the strategy for agroecology by 2030, and we've also been talking about strategy here. Why don't we work together to develop this and have a shared vision for agroecology here in Malawi, and so that at least we can drive action. I don't buy the idea of us continue to come here and no action happening. So I'd love us to, as a group, as a platform, to always come here and share progress, report on how we are doing or we are faring as far as agroecology is concerned here in Malawi. Secondly, I'd like to really thank, Luana for what they're doing with the farmers and building capacity to do their own research. I really love that idea and I'd like to incorporate that into our project. But my question will always be on validation. So who validates these findings and how do we even disseminate these findings to probably and scale up to the rest of the communities here in Malawi? So thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a mic there? No?
Mundirore tilankhule ngati wa media poyamba ndiyamikire akuboma kuti ma policies alipo ndithu ambiri othandizira pa nkhani imene tikukambirana munoyi. Komano from my knowledge as a layman pena pake pali vuto mukachita disseminate policy timakhala ntchito yaikulu kwambiri kuti anthu adziwe nchiyani chomwe anzathu akunduna wa zaulimi akhazikitsa kumene nchinthu chanji. Tikukamba nkhani ya awareness to the public and the rest of the people. Ndipo ndimene angonenanso amene amalankhula posachedwapa kuti pali ntchito yaikulu zedi imafunika kuti inuwe mukulumikizane ndi nyumba zoletsa nkhani, nyumba zolemba nkhani kuti anthu adziwe chachilendo pa nkhani ya ulimi.
So, yeah, so that's the contribution. I'll give you space because you're on my way, because I was closing. Oh. Just, oh, you've got the mic, yes.
Thank you very much. Choyamba ndipereke ulemu kwa nonse ma presenters osogoloko. Ndi mfundo zingapo, koma choyambirira kwenikweni ndimafuna ndipite ku mawu amene munayankhula professor kuti choyambirira mutipangira define agroecology ndiye munapereka kuti ndi ma principles kumene ndimafuna ndiyambire kumene koko tikukumana muno ma stakeholders osiyanasiyana. Choyambirira kodi ndi ma principles ake atiwo amene ali under agroecology amene ifeyo ma key players pa ground tikupanga implement ndipo tikutha kuona ma results kapena tikutha kuona ma gaps, because my understanding is conference inoyo one of the things imene chimene ionepo imafunika iunikire kuti zotapita pa ground takaona zimene anthu akupanga kodi zikugwirizana ndi ma principles amene boma likupanga promote gap ili patipo. Ndiye kuti tikamatoka muno tikhala tikupereka petition kwa inu kuti ifeyo ngati mati implementers tikuona kuti pakuvuta ndi apa komanso pafunika kupanga improve kapena ndi apa ku government side, then ku nkhani ya ma implementers pakuvuta apafunika kuti tikonze ndi apa. Chachiwiri, I want to agree ndi Mr. Govert. Government role yake ndi kupanga create conducive environment for us. Now the question again should be, if our key stakeholders, have we identified the gaps the environment which the government is creating? Kuti tikamatoka muno mutizoona kuti the environment is not conducive enough. For example, I had said it earlier on. Tikuyankhula zinthu ziwiri zosiyana, boma likunena kuti agroecology is the way to go. Boma umeso kubwerezanso lipanganso promote agriculture industrialization. Ndiye pamenepo tizisatira chicho. So ndimafunisisa kuti amene kuti kusogolo mtikunikire kuti tikamatoka muno tizinena kuti agroecology is the way to go kapena inyumuzibanga press, because the creation of conducive environment for us to operate in is in your hands, is in your control. Ndiye tikamapanga advocacy tizipita kumene akamene zinthu zakuzifuna ndikani. Why should we be meeting and discussing things that you guys know kuti you know that's not your priority? So nimaganiza kuti tikamatoka muno kuti tikhala kuti very clear guidance from you kuti tiziona kuti tikamakoza kumana next year tiziyang'ana fundo iyi ndipo tizikapanga approach. Ndimalizire ku nkhani ya mapolicies amene alipo kale. Ndinayankhula kuyambirira pacha. Akuluakulu, nkhani ili pano siwere tikayang'ane policy tikapange policy. Nkhani ili pano ndikuti kuchoka munomo tikhale ndi plan. Kandi task force amene na Mr. Gobert, you agree with him. Tikhale ndi task force imene ipange plani kapena strategy imene ife tizigwisa ntchito kuti tituluse ma areas angapo. Number 1, tipange advocate for act. Number 2, tipange advocate for policy. Then number 3, tipange advocate for the implementation of those two, which will be the strategy. Ndekuti zati kamatoka kunoko next year kamata kwatira nena kuti tinapanga draft act, tinapanga draft policy, panoko strategy ikuyenda mwachonchi. Ndekuti akoma wati kamakumatizi kumana kuti komatu mu act mumuli gapu simunapange ku parliament, simunavomeze ku parliament. Pa policy pali gapu yakuti simunapange mainstream. Ndekuti apopo zikuzokhala kuti ziyenda. My last comment kupita ku my organizers. This is very important. I wish parapezeka kuti more dollars azitipanga support on a quarterly basis, because work dayamba panoboyi si ufunikaso zakumaneso after 1 year mazakambirana. Yufunika kuti tingoyira mmene yambirapo zikhala zingotani zingopitirira kuti tiziona kuti tizichonga kati mena nenera amayawo tikamati chuchuchu tizimuona kuti apa tikuchoka stage iyi chayenda apa chayenda. Tikamaza kumana ngati a conference like this ndo tizafuna report ino apera kumba panga organize kuti panopo zili pati ino akupoma tinakupasani izi panopo zili pati. I think that will be the direction. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Finally.
Thank you. Mine is a comment on the strategy. I want to emphasize this point that by looking at the energy that we have, the strategy shouldn't be like the end of what we want to achieve. Because what I'm looking at is like, once we're going to have the strategy, we'll come here, celebrate, clap hands, as if we have achieved what we wanted. Remember our country, we have got very good strategies and policies. What lacks is the implementation. We can push and have the strategy, but if we lose the implementation part, we have done nothing. So let us also focus on the implementation. We shouldn't forget it. Let's focus and give the energy that is needed to the implementation of agroecology. Thank you.
Okay, so I love the energy that is being generated here, but still we need to consider this energy. It's time for lunch. We need to add more energy. So at this point in time, I've heard the question that you must make a position, but I'll bail you out. You will not make your positions here. This task is for us all, which is why we'll be meeting in the afternoon, is to take those positions. So at this point in time, allow me to thank the whole team, to begin with Chifundo, a hand for Chifundo, and the panelists that have done a great job in really sharing their knowledge. Otherwise, thank you so much, all of you. It's been quite a very, very informative day with so many areas being discussed around agroecology. Yeah, a lot of, if I was to summarize what has happened in the discussion, is really one word, a call to action. So since morning, I think the central question that is coming out is, yes, we can cry, we can shout, we can make long introductions to what agroecology should be or how it's going to feed us, but if we do nothing, then we don't eat rice. Yeah? So what should we do for us to have the rice? That's the thing that is coming out from this morning session. And I want us, as we go to have lunch, to really think about that question. What are the actions that we must take forward from this room or this workshop, for which we must follow up in our next meeting? So our next meeting will not be to advocate or convince people that agroecology is good or bad, but what have we done about agroecology? So when we meet in the next session, we really are going to focus on the calls to action that this room is going to bring out. So think about that as you enjoy your chicken, your sima, or whatever is there is being prepared. Okay, I'm thinking of some of the issues that have come out which may need actioning are things to do like, everybody's talking about networking and dialogue. So what are we going to do about that? There are things to do with the coming up with strategies or policies. There is no agreement. People are confusing. But what must we do about that? The strategies or our policies. Issues to do with marketing. How do we integrate marketing into agriculture? What should we do about that? There is a talk about farmer-led research for adaptation of innovation. No single idea or solution is best for all farmers in Malawi, but let farmers be engaged in the research. What must we do about farmer-led research? In this room we've discussed it's good, but so what? What are we going to do about it? There have been issues to do with lobbying. For example, others said, can we lobby in government documents like the Guide to Agriculture Production? Can we lobby for a review so that there's a section on agroecology in there? What are we going to do about that? Or we keep on talking. Others are talking of coming up with some kind of laws, strategies. Not so clear on that one. But again, if we are to go with laws, if we are going to go with strategies, what are we going to do about that? Coordination, different efforts from different organizations. We need to coordinate so that we can work together. Not just working together as the NGOs or as the university, but also coordinating with government's efforts. What are we going to do about that? Mindset change, the egos, the attitudes, everything. Where we want to really have that mindset change that is positive to dialogue, positive to promoting agroecology, and the mindset that does something, not the mindset that is good at complaining. What are we going to do about that to change the mindset? Public awareness, so that people can know about agroecology. It's maybe just us who have been studying or we have interacted or worked in an agroecology space who know about agroecology. Others don't know about it. What are we going to do about that? The list can go on, and I don't want to consume your time for lunch. There are so many things that you're thinking about, but the general idea that I want you to come out with as you go to lunch is that there is a position that is coming out that we need agroecology, but for agroecology to work, we must do something. So in the next session, we'll focus on what we must do. Otherwise, thank you for your time. Let's clap hands for ourselves for really good discussions, and enjoy your lunch. We'll meet at, what's the time now? Okay, we meet at 2:15. Let's have an hour lunch so that we can finish in good time. Otherwise, secretariat there will help in terms of how they're distributing the meal cards, but just enjoy your lunch. Thank you. Hello. Everybody's asking for 2 minutes, 1 minute. I see there is also another group asking me for another minute. Nobody wants to leave this place. Yeah? You're good? Okay, thank you. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So we are almost there. We are almost there. It's been a long day of discussion. So much put on the table, some provocative. Because I always say mind-blowing, to have some mind-blowing innovations here. People were saying they were happy with some things. So much has been shared. But now we move to the last session of discussion, and after that we'll be closing ceremony to end this session, although I know there is another activity that is happening tomorrow. The organizing team will explain about that, but as far as meeting in this room to discuss in the way we've been discussing, we are finishing this afternoon. So from Monday and from Tuesday, we went into heated debates. There were so many thoughts about what agroecology should be and what agroecology is, what agroecology is not, what agroecology can do and what agroecology cannot do. There's so much debates that came out. Yesterday, we went to the field to see with our own eyes what agroecology can do. And today, we were sharing testimonies about the good things that we saw. Then the question came, so how do we advance the good things that comes with agroecology? How do we push for agroecology? And we've been discussing policy issues as how it can create agroecology, the gaps in our current policies, and then try to think about what else can we do to make things better. One of the points that has come out is that we keep on meeting, and nothing to show. There is need for action if we are going to see agroecology work in the country. So, I ask you, as we are about to go for lunch, that can you then think about what we must do? Can we make this workshop a workshop that comes out with tangible actions? Actions which, when we meet again, God willing, we'll be able to say, we told each other that we will do A, B, C, D. Where are we? We will not meet here again to debate about whether agroecology works or not, or we need agroecology or not. But what have we done about agroecology? So those actions are the ones that this session is going to focus on. Now, when I came here, I think some people really took that question seriously, and they formed a team to debate and discuss about these actions. And they were inviting me to say, look, we have something to say about this particular question that you gave us. And the team is sitting there in the middle. I don't know why they chose in the middle. Maybe it's to look, it's a center of ideas. It's taking from many people, from many tables, right? That's what it is. So they have come up with some of the actions that this workshop can think about. They are saying they are proposed actions. Not that they are pushing that this is what you must do, but these are proposed actions. So they've discussed about our meeting and come up with those proposed actions. And their representative is Bwana Golivat, who is going to share on what these proposed actions are. Okay, you speak from there, right? Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Charles Govatin, and I'm representing this team of 10 people that were here. we sat down to look at what should we do with what you had presented the last time. And we have taken what you presented us as something to think about as the job description of what we are calling the technical working group. So just give your notes to the rapporteurs that that's the job description of the technical working group.
So maybe before you go to the...
Yeah,
So are you ready with the things that was to write what is being proposed? Because this is very important section.
yeah, so number one, we are proposing that with the technical working group should be operating under PELAM as its secretariat. It will have about 20 people, seven of whom, or 10 of whom should be technocrats, coming from the AE Hub, CUA, CISANET, the private sector, CISONEC, media, the Permaculture Network, and NASFAM. The KPIs, the key performance indicators, is that they have to deliver a policy within 12 months, a draft policy within 12 months. Under the policy, under the Act, we will need to develop a policy and a strategy within 3 months, which should be discussed in November by this team. By 6 months to 9 months, we should have a draft act ready. And this act will harmonize the messaging and all the subsector issues in the agroecology space. Food, nutrition issues, environmental issues, everything. That should be done. The target is that by October, by next year this time, we will have the next conference. And that conference, the first day, should discuss the policies. Now, the technical working group will have to come with a paper of policies within the SADC region, the COMESA region, and AU. Then a summary should be reflected in the policy that is being proposed. On the second day, we are proposing that a similar task should be done, a review of the SADC policies, the COMESA policies, and the AU policies. And then we shall go to discuss our policy after looking at the region. The third day, we shall look at the acts within the region, so that then we shall be able in the afternoon to look at our act. Then that act, once it's developed, the policy is developed and the strategy is developed, this technical working group will engage with the Committee of Agriculture in Parliament to present it so that we can engage the relevant ministries in order to pursue the task. That's the proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So there are those proposals, and I will just allow, in this democratic space, just allow some reactions to those proposed ideas. Not to open up another debate, but just some reactions to those. So the proposals have been put on the table. Reactions? Yes, recognize my friend that is. So you can see, so the camera can see. Yes.
Okay. But my wife, they come up with the people did that one, because these are the things which affect sound just because here we are many, and it will be good that most of the people should know and come with the proper way. I see still we're not in the principles, which we say we integrate, not pity. Thank you.
Okay. I will give the team to his class.
Thank you. I think we're not leaving it out. Sabati came up with the idea to create a technical working group. I feel at lunchtime said it was down with intent. The goal would be that through them and through organizations that have planned, organized, where agriculture is the core of your principles. AE speaks to co-creation and design very strongly. That's some of the principles of our policy. So I don't get leaving anybody out, but we are looking for people that are driven, are able to be a part of something like this. Maybe there will be no resources behind it. You know, the contact professor as well. It's not maybe money driven or resource driven. We're looking for people, and Pelham will then identify. That's what our session is. Identify the core technocrats working alongside the audience and the front part. I think anybody between it.
Okay. Further questions? Because these are very important things that have come. We hear the proposal on the table. Yes, so, yeah, this is, I'm sorry, let me see. Is it possible?
Okay, thank you. The list that they have put, I think there is the issue of act and our pro. Maybe our time.